Hi everybody. I'm going to be doing another how to draw video today. And today, rather than learning how to draw a specific animal or a specific thing, I'm going to discuss how to draw a Zentangle. Now, a Zentangle is more like a whole collection of patterns that all intertwine into a tangled mess of patterns. It looks really neat. They're very fun to watch and they're very relaxing to draw. So if you want, I would love it if you would follow along with me. But you can also replace any of the patterns that I draw with your own ideas. The whole point of this is to let your mind run wild and also to just relax as you draw. Or if you want, you can also just draw me. And I hope that maybe you can enjoy this video just as something relaxing to watch because it is quite satisfying to see how the patterns all come together. Without further ado, I'm going to get started. I'm going to draw myself a little box. And that's the box in which I'm going to draw. Now, the reason why I'm giving myself a little space like this rather than the entire page is because all of the patterns that I'm going to do are a little bit on the intricate side. So they're very complicated. So if you want, you can use an entire page for this. But for your very first one, I would suggest working inside of a little box like this. Now I'm going to draw myself a little squiggly line. And then I'm going to separate this box into little compartments or pieces, just like a puzzle. And inside of each of those pieces, I'm going to do a totally different pattern. So you can see I have a piece here, a piece here, a piece here, a piece here, and a piece here. So for me, I'm going to get started by making almost like a checkerboard pattern. I'm going to start that one right here since I already messed up a little bit. So I'm going to draw myself a straight line and then another one right next to it, another one right next to that, and then another one right next to that, and another one over here. Then I'm going to come in and I'm going to make the lines that go across them. But I am not going to shade any of these black, even though they look like a checkerboard. I have a different plan. So now that I have all of those pieces in there, I'm going to create my pattern. So inside of each box, I'm going to make an L pattern or like a V. So see how that's a V or like a sideways L? And I'm going to do another one. And I'm going to do a third one. And inside that third one, I'm going to shade it black. It doesn't look like much right now, but when I do that in every single one of these boxes, it'll look really cool. So I'm going to do another one right here, right there, and right there. And then in this one, since it's cut off a little bit, I'm just going to imagine what it might look like. So that would be the bottom one, then the next one, and then maybe I would have that little corner in there. But see, since I can't see the other side of this box, I'm not going to draw L shapes. I'm just making lines. And I'm going to shade that in. And I'm going to do my L here and here and here. I'm going to shade in that top. And I'm going to do this here and right here. So that one I don't have to do the little black piece in the top because I don't have a top. And that's actually going to be how all of these top ones are. So that one I only have one of the L shapes. And this one, I think I'm going to have two. Yep. This one I don't have any. This one I think I might have two. Do I have to make three? Yep. I have enough to make three on that one. All of these are going to be very different because I really didn't try to make this perfect. And that's totally fine. Again, I'm letting my imagination run wild with these patterns. And I'm not really worried how they end up looking as long as they all come together and kind of make a really unique art piece. Here's that one. That one I messed up a little bit, but that's okay. You may notice that I am drawing with a marker. I don't suggest doing this. I'm only doing it because if I draw with a pencil, you can't see it in my camera. There we go. So that's going to be my first pattern, and I think it looks pretty neat. The next pattern that I'm going to do is going to be kind of like fish scales. Now to do fish scales, you always want to start at the bottom and make your U shape. Now the next piece, I'm going to make two scales, and I'm going to make each one of those scales come together right on top of the first one. So there's that and that. Then I'm going to make another U shape. Now I'm going to have these two scales come together right in the middle of the top of that other scale. That's the best way to draw scales, is to make sure that the point where they come together to make this little, it's kind of like a bird shape or like the letter V. That V should always come towards the top of the hump that was the last scale. And you can always make those little pieces that end up going off the edges. You don't have to, but they look a little bit more accurate if you have the little extra piece going off. Like, see those? So now I have all of my scales. Then for me, just to make this a little bit more interesting, I'm going to make an extra scale right in there. So look at that. It's kind of making a rainbow shape. So to do this, I'm just coming right over the little V shape that's made by the two scales coming together, and right below that hill, and I'm making a second hill. So it's making almost like a rainbow shape. And that looks pretty neat. So I'm gonna leave that pattern just the way it is. If you wanted, you could add even a third one down in here and you could shade it in. I'm not gonna do that for right now, but think about it. Think about what you would like this to look like. And you can also always color in any of these pieces. These end up being really unique if you color them in, but you can also leave them black and white, and they usually look really good that way too. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come in here to this one right here, and I'm gonna do another checkerboard, just like the first one that I did, but I'm gonna do a different pattern with it. So I'm gonna do my straight lines, just like this. And then I'm gonna have my other lines cross them, make those like waffle patterns. Now, inside of each of these boxes, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come in from this top point right here, and I'm gonna come down in like a starburst pattern. So all I'm doing is I'm doing a whole bunch of diagonal lines and one that ends up coming towards the center. Or if you want to make that a little bit easier, you come from this point right here and you go down to the opposite side, and then you do another one and another one in that little bitty space. It's really, really simple, but it looks very complex, especially when you do a whole bunch of them. So here, I'll go in the center. I'll do another diagonal line, another diagonal line. I'm done on that side. I'm gonna do that one and that one. And that looks really cool. And on that one, my square is kind of chopped in half, so I don't have to worry about that one. Now I'm gonna come down to the middle. 1, 2, 1, 2. Middle, 1, 2, 1, 2. I almost forgot on that one. And you see, once it has all of those patterns totally filled in, it looks really unique. So now the next one that I'm going to do is going to be this little bitty guy right here. And I'm just going to fill it in with a swirl, because what better way to fill in a tiny little circle than with a swirl? Now that pattern is totally done. The next one that I'm going to do is just going to be a couple of neat wavy lines. Now, the best way I can think of to do this is to come in from this point and to start making lines that go down towards that other line right here. But instead of doing all of these lines the same, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start them from someplace else and I'm gonna move them around. So now I think I'm gonna start from right here on this line rather than up here where all the other lines started. And I'm gonna do this, just like that. See how they changed the direction? And then over here, I think I wanna start from this one right here, from this point, and then I'm gonna make it go up like that. And see how changing the direction of those lines ended up making it look really cool, especially where they all came together over here. I could do even more of those if I filled in baby lines inside of these. So I think right here, I'm gonna fill in some baby lines. So it's almost like I'm just adding stripes. So see, that looks really neat. And I'll do it one more time on these ones. And all of these baby lines, I'm kind of making them tilt so they end up making V shapes, or what's called a chevron, just like that. So I have all of my patterns totally filled in on this Zentangle. You can also color in any one of these black if you feel like you would like some more dark, or if you want, you can color this in with like regular colors. As you can see, it's kind of like a coloring page anyway. So let your imagination run wild. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it relaxing, and I hope it's something that's fun for you to do. I can't wait to see some of your drawings. I hope you can post them in the comments, and I will see you next time.